replacement there. With the hydro generation, we have the powerhouse roof replacement that's been on the budget off and on. We have increased that from previous years to $350,000. The generator pit 6 replacement has been pushed out a little bit, but that's still the 2-year project and at $4.85 million in 28 and 2029. That is one of the projects we have gone down and requested bonding for. And we have today Representative Heinzman and Senator Heinzman are coming to tour the project. In addition, we have a system impact assessment scheduled for 2030 of $350,000. So when we look at the electric capital projects, they strengthen the system reliability, they're modernizing the distribution network, and then extend the useful life of our renewable hydro generation asset. Any questions on the electric, or would you like me just to keep going? Don't stop, okay. On the water capital projects, so when we look at the water department's capital plan remains the most ambitious in this 5-year window. We have a central component is our reclamation and backwash construction project. That's budgeted at the $2.825 million in 26 and 27. This is the one that we have secured the $5 million in state funding for, and we are in the process of working on that CMAR. We have some annual well rehabilitation and well health improvements scheduled as normal. We have budgeted in 2027 a $5 million well number 9 construction project, and that's to support the redundancy and future supply needs. And then we have the new water treatment plant planning as we reflect on the staging of costs. We started in 2028. That's going through the state bonding requests and the PPL. That's a $58 million project. We have, in addition to all of those, we have the lead service line replacements, so our galvanized service lines that we require replace. Those are funded between $2.5 and roughly $3 million annually. We're expecting $2.5 million each year through 2033, so that'll be continued on the budget, but that has been included. We, in addition, then have our city street reconstruction coordination projects. That's the Highway 210, Southeast Brainerd, Northeast Brainerd, and Oak Street. The significant change when we look at 210 and how these projects have changed from last year's budget is the 210 project is requiring the full down payment of the entire amount in 26 instead of being split over 2 years. So that's a significant change from what you have seen previously, and that has been budgeted for. We continue to have our ongoing SCADA and booster station pump house and the metering system improvements that are always there. So those are the capital projects we see in the water.
Can I ask about the down payment? Can you be more, how does that work? What's the, who pays the down payment and to whom? And
so,
clear.
Paul, I'll let Paul answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chezak. So MnDOT, being that this is a MnDOT project, MnDOT is making progress payments to the contractor, and that is typically a requirement that MnDOT requires the down payment on the front end, so they have the funds available. MnDOT cannot expend trunk highway dollars on local system improvements. And so from a financing standpoint, MnDOT will be paying the contractor, and therefore, because they cannot expend trunk highway funds on local system improvements, they need that money up front to be able to pay the contractor as they go.
And we're giving that to them?
Yes, that's usually a requirement. They'll send an invoice as soon as the agreement is executed between the city and MnDOT. They'll create an invoice that basically invoices for the as-bid construction amount for the project.
Thank you.
As we move from water to wastewater, the wastewater program includes one of the single largest projects across our 5-year plan with the plant expansion upgrades. That's the biosolids project that we've been working on with the Joint Wastewater Management Board. And that has the $12 million in 26 and 27. We have a main lift station replacement in 26. We budgeted about $500,000 for that, and then $7 million in 2027. That's really the backbone of the collection system, and that has been included in the project priority list, as well as the plant upgrades that I spoke about previously. We continue investments in our VFDs, pumps, and the SCADA improvements just across all of the lift stations as normal. We did move and reschedule the Vactron truck replacement, has been on the budget and been coming up. We did for cash flow management, we pushed it out to 27, 28. And then we have several carry forward projects from the current year. So those are the items that are highlighted in green. Those were items that did not get completed in 25, are carried forward in 26. And that's some of the fencing, door replacements, some of the HVAC controls, and then screen and grit work.
Can I ask to give all the, for the 26 and 27, the grand total of all utilities for capital improvements that are scheduled? Do you have that on the spreadsheet?
I don't have it in total for all.
Can you
the
just give me
projects.
each segment then?
Yep, so electric, Jeff, we have a total of 2.9 million
For 26?
for 26, 2.6 million for 27.
Okay.
For water, we have 11.6 million in 26, 8.7 million in 27. And then wastewater, 14.8 million in 26 and 21 million in 27.
Thank you. Would there be any way of identifying of those totals, what we are anticipating or have already received in grant money? It won't be coming from ratepayers?
In grant money, we've received 5 million for the reclamation tank, and then 2.6 million for the lead service lines, and we're expecting another 2.5 million for lead service lines in 27.
So everything else is going to be on ratepayers, correct?
Correct.
And I will be bonding for most of that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And then requesting, well, we'll go through the project priority list and intended use plan for the low interest bonds and
Right.
additional funding from the state, yes.
Thank you.
Any additional questions on capital, or I'll move into operating? Hearing none, I'm moving on. The 26 operating budget reflects our continued stable operation and performance with a heightened emphasis on the staffing and regulatory compliance. And then we have some inflationary cost pressures when we look at like our purchase power. Total revenue across all divisions is budgeted at 40.3 million. We have total expenses are 40.08 million. Biggest driver in our expenses is the purchase power at about 20 million. And we have wages, benefits, O&M, and inflationary costs, and then the consulting tied to the engineering and regulatory studies that we discussed at the last meeting. Our overall change in net position remains positive at 243,000. That is down slightly from last month just due to some of the increase in staffing. As we look at staffing, some important highlighted items as we look at changes or vacancies. So the 26 budget incorporates those vacancies. We have a technical services lead included, which is included in the organizational chart from 2023. We have a maintenance lead included, same was in the organizational chart in 23. We have 2 utility laborers. These are new positions, but supporting the system maintenance and providing flexible assistance across the departments as some of the technology evolves and some of our needs. We built that into the budget for a safety net. We have the business office support specialist, which hasn't been filled, is in the process, but that has been included in our 26 budget. With Jeff's retirement, we have included a position for Jeff's replacement, and also included one additional position that has not been included previously. And then at the wastewater plant, we have one wastewater operator backfilling a current vacant position. Those positions have been included in the budget and just bring us to our full operational capacity. When we look specifically at the funds, so the electric fund is remaining pretty stable. We've seen some significant increases as we kind of talked about at last meeting, but those are stabilizing. So we have a stable revenue. We have stable expenses as we look into that 20 million roughly in our purchase power. That's our number one cost. We do have included then the wage and benefit increases corresponding to those filling the vacancies and implementing the organizational chart adjustments. The consulting and technical services needs are included as we have discussed. And then the net position remains positive. It's slightly reduced from the draft budget due to that added staffing, as I indicated. When we look at the water fund is showing a positive net position for the first time in many number of years. So that's a big turnaround with our rate increases from last December. And then we'll continue with the rate increases that we have scheduled for this next year. Biggest drivers in some of those costs for the water fund are those chemicals, the utilities, and then the maintenance costs just continue to increase with the system age and those regulatory testing requirements that Charlie has always in his report. The local option sales tax remains a meaningful revenue source as we continue. And then we're starting to see, for the first time, the fund is contributing to its own reserves. As we look at wastewater is pretty stable. We are seeing rising costs again in the chemicals and then just some of the equipment repair as the facility is aging. And then the fund maintains that positive net position as we've been seeing as we look forward to the 26 and 27 capital programs. And with that, I am open to answer any questions.
In your electrical, is there any crypto sales in 2026?
There are crypto sales in 26. They're not increasing as they have been in the future years. So the last 3 years, we've seen significant increases. We have stabilized those to the 24 and 25 numbers.
So 26, it doesn't double what it was at 25 or anything?
Correct. It remains the same. It's an average of 24 and 25 numbers.
Do you have that handy?
The total,
For a year.
55,000 a month is what we've been making.
we have on the budget, we have 8.4 million for the year. 24 was 7.7 million. And then projected for 25 is 8.4 million. So it's budgeted for 8.4 million next year.
Budgeted for the income.
Correct, revenue side, yep.
That's scary. So, but we just use the profit from that in your budgetary, like that goes down, say crypto stopped tomorrow.
Yep,
We're not out $8 million income, we're out the profit from that.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, so the associated expense for the purchase power is included in the purchase power number, yep.
Good. Any other questions for Danny? Nice job.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion for approve. Does anybody?
So moved.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Is that just approving the, well, that's both the capital and
Capital
the,
and
okay,
operations budget.
thank you.
And recommending to council this budget.
Yeah, as a
for
general
approval.
note, we'll be in front of council the first meeting in December to present the operations and capital budgets for 2026.
Okay. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now we'll move on to unfinished business. And we do have a memo that has a nice running list of everything that we have on the plate and also things that we've accomplished. So looks like we are going to approve updated language for the city contribution policy 2003-001. Anybody want to speak to that?
I can. So included from the discussions we've had over the last few meetings and included in the packet is a redline version of the contribution policy. The contribution policy changes from the mill rate where we're contributing to the city based on a kilowatt hour sale, but to a percentage of revenue. This was requested for us to look at from city council. They had requested us to look at a 3% for 26, 4% for 27, and 5% for 28. At the last meeting, commission had determined that they would like to move to the revenue route at 3%. That is what is presented, and then hold off for future adjustments until we have a rate study. So this reflects a change in that contribution policy, adjusting for the 3% of revenues.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve the amended policy. Any comments or a motion? Questions?
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, approve revised solar development agreement related to solar array installation on the Rotary Riverside Park Pavilion. Mr. Sandy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the solar agreement between the City of Brainerd and the Rotary Club was previously approved by 3 boards, the BPU Commission, the Park Board, and the City Council. When that agreement got fully executed by the respective parties, we presented that to the Rotary Club, and there was some concerns raised regarding the provisions of Article 11 in that document. Article 11, specifically 11.2 and 11.3, state that after the warranty period ends, the Rotary Club of Brainerd would be responsible for replacing any damaged or inoperative solar panels and lighting, as well as the full decommissioning of the solar panels and lighting once they are found to be needing decommissioning. And then 11.3 states that this article would survive the termination of the agreement. So upon receiving that notice that they weren't in agreement with that language, we had some discussion internally between myself, Public Works Director Habighorst, Operations Manager Hawkinson, and the City Administrator and the City Attorney. We did prepare a draft redline version of the agreement, and these revisions would need to go through all 3 bodies again for review and approval. Our rationale is kind of stated in the alternative options and effects. Being that BPU is the sole financial contributor to this project outside of a one-time $10,000 upfront payment, we're really the sole capital expense that is going into this array. And so BPU is really the only entity providing that significant capital funding and will be the sole recipient of the tax incentives that come with it. We understood that BPU is basically the owner of the asset because of that. So the revised solar agreement basically strikes out 11.2 and 11.3, along with making some adjustments to project completion date. There are 2 things that we need to do to make sure that we can take advantage of the tax credits associated with this project. We need to provide a down payment on the project prior to December 31st, 2025. Article 10.1 in the agreement states that BPU will make a payment up front, and we would, if approved by commission and all the other boards here, we would make that payment prior to that date. And in order for us to apply and receive the other tax credits, the project completion date would need to be done by June 30th of 2026. So those changes have been made in the red line document to reflect those changes in dates. The other small change to the agreement was to ensure the current chair of the Rotary Board, Michelle Francis, is listed as the signatory for the Rotary Club. Just a general note, so the original intent of this project was to obviously provide electrical service to the pavilion at Rotary Park. BPU has already invested time and capital in extending the interconnect infrastructure for the future solar array to the site to support the solar array purpose. Should the commission decide not to accept the revised terms of the agreement, we feel that the underlying intent of the project still remains feasible, where we could extend power to that structure at minimal expense. The electrical extension that we've already completed is sufficient to serve the pavilion without the installation, with or without the installation of the solar array. So I'm open to answer any questions, or Trent can certainly chime in on the project too. But staff is recommending approval of the redlined agreement with the understanding that BPU would be the owner, maintainer of the asset long-term, given the financial investment and having the expertise in-house to maintain it properly long-term. And I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions for Paul?
I would move to approve the red line version of the agreement.
I second it.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to approved draft leaking water service line policy.
I think Trent and I can kind of tag team this one. We've been shifting this policy back and forth between ourselves here, but currently, based on previous board action, we have discussed needing a policy relating to kind of standardized practices and policy that clearly outlines a full set of procedures from a staff standpoint of finding leaks on private water service lines, and consolidate the guidance describing how the leaks are identified, the appropriate methods and timelines for providing notification to property owners, the specific steps that customers must take to develop repair plans, or the required timelines for completing those repairs. Staff do not have this written direction in policy, so it's been kind of all over the board on how we implement repairs to private water service lines. The absence of that unified policy has resulted in inconsistencies in communication, expectations, and enforcement, and just highlighted the need for a more standardized process. The draft policy in the packet is intended to address those gaps, to establish a clear written framework for these components. It provides detailed procedures for leak identification, customer notifications, planning and repair timelines, reprieve during winter conditions, and other financing and assessment options if property owners are not able to foot the bill up front. We're looking for commission feedback and review of the policy, so that we ensure that the policy aligns with our goals and we can implement it from a staff perspective. Should be noted that we have identified a broader organizational need to update, standardize, and formalize all of our BPU policies that are all over the board right now. Danny and I have spoken about a 2026 work plan, and we tend to kind of conduct a comprehensive review of all of our policies, get them into both existing and in draft format, evaluating their clarity and consistency, making sure that the policies are rewritten in a standardized format, section headings, logos, terminology, definitions, and procedural guidance. And these will be coming to you throughout 2026 in a standardized format. That'll help staff make sure we have all of the policies addressed that are either currently in place or in draft format, sitting in different drives across the organization. So you'll be seeing these come more and more as we get through this process. Our first step in this is going to be creating a template document that we can go off of that has 4 or 5 standardized policy guidance statements on the specific policy. And then from there, we'll start creating a list of all the policies that need to go through this process and be addressed in groups with the commission as we move forward. But at this point, staff recommends approval of the draft leaking water service line policy as presented. Just a note that this only pertains to residential services. So I'll take any questions, or Trent can chime in at any point.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Paul or Trent?
Hey, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
When I read through the agenda request, maybe I'm mistaken, but it seems like you'll be working on this throughout the year. So if it's approved right now, is it just an approval to move forward with continue working on it? Is that what we're looking for?
This is kind of the first policy that we've taken the initiative on, and starting to set out this procedural guidance. And this one just came up, I think, at previous commission meetings as a priority. We have yet to, so I mean, we're looking for approval of the language. The format of how the policy looks might change, but the substantive or the actual content within the policy, and that's what we're looking for approval today. And then as we work through a standard template and things, the formatting might change a little bit in the policy, but the policy itself will remain intact, if that makes sense, Mr. Chesson.
So if it's approved, the staff will be able to implement the policy as it's written?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this with some discussion.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
There's a second. All right, time for discussion. Mike?
Excuse me. I appreciate the work you guys put into this and how it reads. And I hadn't heard that we were gonna start doing this with all of our policies, but I really like that. Strategic narrative comes to mind. You guys have heard me say that before. And brand guidelines would be the other thing that comes to my mind. I think that our policies should all be fairly aligned. We should be able to, write a policy and then plug and play, whether it's water, sewer, whatever it is. I don't like the word enforcement as a rate payer and somebody that uses our utilities in this community. There's just something about the word enforcement or government or city workers coming and with their chest pumped up. You know, Trent, me and you have developed a wonderful relationship, and that hasn't happened, but I have heard stories and issues with other people where there is some contentiousness just because of the way the policies are written and the way people that don't work in the utilities industry every day take them. So I just would, make it nice somehow. I know you have a tough job, and it's tough to do that because you do have to enforce these policies and these rules. But if we can just figure out a way to make that a little softer for our community, I would appreciate that. But I think this is a great policy. After discussing and asking some questions in some of our subcommittee meetings about what our water loss is in this town, that's just money going down the drain, and I think it needs to be addressed. So, good job, and that's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. That's a good point. Okay. Mark, any discussion? Okay. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, everybody. I like the direction we're going, so thanks for that description as well. I look forward to that. Yes, Dan?
Point of clarification, are we amending the motion, or are we accepting this, or are we making an adjustment from what Mr. Higgins was just noting?
No, it's
Good, okay.
it's fine the way it is.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. A, approve statement of work and audit services with Clifton Larson Allen LLP.
It's that time of year again. The audit is right around the corner. As part of the audit process, we have to approve a statement of work. Clifton Larson Allen has been our auditor for many years. The attached statement of work for $30,750 is a 4% increase over the previous year. That's common for the industry. I'm seeing that with other communities that I reach out to. As a note, City Council has discussed about going out and looking for an RFP related to audit services. So that is a potential in 2026, just to make you aware of that. Right now, we have the same auditor as the city as a whole. And with that, staff recommend approving the attached statement of work with the 4% increase in fee.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to B, approve Bolton and Mink's proposal for CMAR design and construction services related to the water backwash and reclaim facility improvements.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So attached in your packet today is a proposal from Bolton and Mink, and I will recognize that Morgan Salo is in the crowd here today if we have questions related to this, but there's also a memorandum that was prepared by Morgan that outlines some of the changes that we'll be going through if this proposal is approved today in the original design of the reclaimed backwash tank. So we've been coordinating closely with Bolton and Mink regarding the scope of services for this project. In 2024, the BPU Commission entered into an agreement with Bolton and Mink to provide design and bidding phase services for the project. Subsequently, we received a direct legislative appropriation in which Danny referenced in his budget presentation of $5 million to support the project design and construction. Throughout 2024, BPU staff worked with Bolton and Mink and advanced the project through design development, including the preparation of plans and specs. On November 21st, 2024, BPU received bids for the project. However, all the bids came in significantly higher than the available budget, with Rice Lake Construction Group submitting the lowest bid at $10,336,450. The BPU Commission reviewed those bids and elected to reject all the bids and transition the project to a construction manager at risk delivery method. The CMAR delivery method is a method where a construction manager is hired early in the design process to provide pre-construction services such as cost estimating, constructability reviews, schedule input, and value engineering, and then serves as the general contractor during construction. Under that model, the construction manager commits to a guaranteed maximum price, and they assume the financial risk for cost overruns beyond that amount unless the owner has directed changes to the project during construction. The approach is similar to a design build where it fosters collaboration between the owner, designer, and the construction manager, improves cost estimates, and helps to identify potential construction issues before they impact the project. So back in July 2025, Bolton and Mink issued a request for proposals for CMAR services to qualified construction firms. We received 3 proposals at that time from Rice Lake Construction, Magny Construction, and Journey Construction. Following the evaluation process and scoring, the BPU Commission selected Rice Lake Construction Group to serve as the CMAR on the project. What's in front of you today is the other portion of this process, the CMAR process, is to engage a professional consulting firm to work collaboratively with the CMAR in evaluating the design, performing value engineering, refining the scope, and helping the project align to our available budget for the project. We asked this proposal of Bolton and Mink, given their extensive familiarity with the project, having served as the design engineer through the original design phase. After we received that proposal, we had some more discussion with Bolton and Mink, and that's where this memorandum in your packet came from. It outlines the detailed scope and how the work and anticipated design modifications associated with transitioning the project from a traditional delivery method to a CMAR project, how it's going to impact the plans, how many plan sheets are they going to be modifying through this process, redrafting a substantial portion of those, and incorporating all the design adjustments that take place through the CMAR process. The project costs are broken down in the agenda request along within Morgan's memorandum. The estimated cost for just the coordination with the CMAR, Rice Lake Construction, is $27,400. The design services, including the plan revisions, redrafting, structural redesign, that is estimated at $159,900. And the construction administration services within the proposal are an estimated amount of $263,400 for a total Bolton and Mink proposed fee of $450,700 to get us all the way through construction. With the development or potential development of a new water treatment plant in the coming years, this design approach for the project is focused on implementing only what is necessary to improve and maintain efficient, reliable operations at the existing facility. Our intent, along with Bolton and Mink, is to ensure that the new backwash and reclaim infrastructure constructed under this project can be seamlessly incorporated into a new water treatment facility. And that is just going to protect our long-term investment into this system. Throughout this process, BPU staff, Bolton and Mink, and the CMAR will work collaboratively to perform value engineering, refine the design, and make sure that we meet the budget of the project to stay within the funding constraints of that grant we received from the state of Minnesota. With that, I'm going to open it up, and if you will allow Mr. Chair to have Morgan provide any further, and if there's other questions, we can certainly answer those collectively as a team. But we are recommending that we approve this construction, or the CMAR design and construction services proposal for the backwash and reclaim facility improvements in the amount of $450,700.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Any questions? Yes,
Ask
Jeff?
Mr.
Yep.
Sandy a couple of questions based on what he just,
Sure.
so, I gotta get my thoughts clear here. You want to make this seamless with the wastewater treatment. I understand that. That was the initial goal from the first go-around, right? That has not changed. Would that be a fair statement?
I don't believe so, no.
It hasn't changed. And then you had one other thing included in there, I can't recall exactly what you said, but, so what I'm trying to understand here is, the way I read through this, and it might be better that Morgan answer this, but we're trying to get this work contract, down to our money that we have available, which is $5 million, is that correct?
Yep, correct.
Okay, so initially, what was our budget? When we agreed to send out for bids, the estimate was between $7.5 million and $9.5 million.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, where was the budget then? Do you know? Does anybody know?
Six. 6 or 6.5 million, I think is what we recall.
Okay, so based on this CMAR, Construction Management at Risk, is this lowering the facility build? Is it giving us the performance, the structure, everything involved? We're not gonna get the same thing based on the CMAR process as we are initially with the other bids that came in over $10 million.
Yeah, I would say generally that's correct, and I can have Morgan kind of explain some of the changes that we've been strategizing with that, and it all relates to this potential new water treatment plant in the future, so I'll let Morgan speak to that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President, Commission staff. Yeah, so very good question. And I'm going to try to do my best to stay concise with a lot of this. And so as we look at the CMAR process, it's not taking what was originally designed and having a contractor price that up. We're looking at value engineering and modification to these existing processes, the structures, the electrical components, the architecture of it all. And a big lift in this one is the process design. As we shift and change things around, that changes the hydraulics, which the site has some limiting hydraulic factors when it comes to how do we get water to flow from point A to point B. And we want to also incorporate this so that in a future water plant design or build, we're taking the money and investing it in the future as well towards that project. And that this infrastructure that we're building today, because concrete's useful life is over 75 years, we want to be able to utilize that in the future moving forward with new infrastructure. And so that's the goal of this, is as we work with the contractor, and as Paul did a very good job explaining with the guaranteed maximum price, that's once we agree to a GMP and commission and council authorize and accept that GMP, unless there's an owner-directed change, that is the maximum price. And so that's where we're working through the budgeting phase of this now, developing with the Rice Lake, the CMAR, the GMP. And so that's where we have the leeway right now and the transparency of, if we'd make this change, what does that cost? If we do this, what does that cost? And then we kind of work through that model in a couple different ways and a couple different meetings to develop this overall budget. And one of the benefits of the $5 million SPAP grant, the special appropriations grant that the utility received, is that engineering is covered as part of that. Design and engineering and construction services are part of that grant. And so to be cognizant of budgets, we are looking at how can we value engineer this to meet budget goals and requirements. And still get a project out of it that can be used not just for today, 20, 30, 40, 50, 75 years down the road. If that answers your questions, Mr. Chesak.
Can you outline some of the discussions we've been having about the backwash process and how that is going to likely change with a new water treatment plant?
Yes. So in the original, and feel free to stop me if you have any questions, in the original design for the project, we included one of the main focuses was reclamation. Currently, the water that is backwash, used for backwash in the facility to clean the filters, goes out into a large seepage basin, which is the wetland next to the river by the water plant. On average, it's about 41 to 45 million gallons a year that is effectively wasted to there. We are able to design this project to take that water, settle the solids out, reclaim that back so that we can then retreat that water, send it out to distribution. So we're minimizing the amount of waste. wastewater generated from the facility, and that was the primary goal. Secondary goal for this was the way the facility is currently backwashed is with raw water, which is pretty unconventional in modern water treatment facilities. And so they pump water into a large 85,000 gallon tank at the top of the hill. We fill that up, and we use a combination of that, which is raw water, and the wells to backwash the filters. It works. There are a lot of inefficiencies with that design, so to capitalize on using clean, treated water that is considered finished water, which is your best and most optimum way to backwash filters. We looked at incorporating a backwash system into this with large pumps, piping, infrastructure, and backup power generation for that. That adds a significant level of effort when it comes to hydraulically designing, just with the layout of the facility and the hill and how it sits. If we look at value engineering and modifications to the current project and thinking big picture of a new water plant in the future, there are ways that we can design a new water plant with its own backwashing system at that facility, so we don't have to pump it very far then. We're using clean, fresh, treated water for backwashing, and this tank can be utilized for reclaim purposes primarily, and not be tying into the existing clear wells that are currently there that have a very long useful life, and there's value left in that investment with a new water plant. Transitioning to a new water plant is going to be a little bit stronger of an investment, I think, with removing the backwash system from the reclamation. Does that answer your question, Paul?
That's where a lot of the cost savings that we foresee coming from, Jeff, is by the removal of that backwash component, given that backwash component would really only be to serve the existing facility. And
Yes.
so by effectively removing that from the project and making some minor updates to that process as it currently sits, that's where we're going to see a majority of the cost savings on the project.
And it also allows us to reduce the amount of piping, site work, utility work, and pump and electrical costs, because the pumps that were originally designed to meet backwashing requirements for today's facility were 125 to 150 horsepower pumps, and there were 3 of them. 12,000 gallons a minute per pump. That's a significant flow when it comes to water treatment and backwashing. And that just is a factor of the current facility and just the overall to meet backwashing requirements today in this facility. Modern facilities don't have that level of backwashing requirement. They're designed a little more efficiently.
So I'm just going to say this, and I'm following pretty good what you're saying. It sounds good. But when I think of the project that was originally, plans and specs were put out, they come back over engineer's estimate by anywhere from 50 to 10 or 12% perhaps, depending on roughly. And if you start at 7.5 million or go to 9.5 million, there you by that calculation. Anyway, so there was a design put out, bid on, comes back at over 10 million, and across the board with 3 or 4 different contractors. Now we're looking at a process that's different, and we're hoping to stay within a budget of $5 million, less than the original budget. Is that correct?
It's $5 million. The total budget we have right now in 2026 and 27 equates to 5.6 million. So there is 600,000 in investment from the utility funds outside of the 5 million that we're receiving from the state of Minnesota.
Okay, so I guess to what I'm getting at though is the estimate you put out was 7.5 to 9.5 million. That was the project scope initially.
Correct,
Now
based
we're-
on
okay, right.
previous pricing.
Right. So it's just hard to understand, in my shoes, how you come back with the different plans and specifications, and you're working with a contractor. That whole process, it's hard to grasp how you can still provide the same service in this facility at a significantly lower price. Is that you follow?
Very, very valid question. And the CMAR process is as I've explained before, it's a newer process that was approved, I believe, in 2023 at the state legislature for use for water and wastewater infrastructure construction. As we work through these projects, as consultants and as technical people, we put together our best cost estimate based on what we see in the industry happening. A lot of our stuff is based on what we see from previous bids. Okay, we have a big spreadsheet. We track a lot of this stuff. By working with the CMAR, you are able to get that inside view of what does the pricing look like as they're putting their number together. So that's the GMP process. We're able to look at, okay, if we do, for example, the rock face finish on the tank, what does that add for cost? They're going to get us an accurate cost estimate. What if we take that out? How much value do we save? Is there alternative methods to the construction that maybe we don't know or understand in the construction industry? They're able to help us develop that with the timeline, because timeline is also a critical factor, because they may say, well, we want to, instead of doing winter work where you have to heat the concrete, provide all these temporary controls, that could save you $600,000. Over the course of the project, so that you kind of get that inside look in developing that GMP, and you see the cost model breakdown. We'll be having future meetings coming up with the utility to see all these line items, big spreadsheets of utilities are going to cost this, piping is this, and that's all direct to, like, as of a few weeks ago, pricing when they get that from manufacturers, from suppliers, and what the contractor thinks the level of effort is going to put into it. So when they develop that GMP, we can say, hey, this is still exceeding our budget. We want to look at how we can reduce the cost of this component. And then they can go back, get a revised cost model, and we go look at that and say, okay, our tank, we went from a volume of 400,000 gallons to 325,000 gallons, and we saved $200,000 by doing so. And so that's the level of detail. It's pretty granular when you really break it down to understand where you're getting that value from. Yes?
So, am I understanding this correctly with Jeff's questions? We got a bid for 11 million-ish. We rejected it. And now we're back to the table saying we can do the same exact scope of work for $5.6 million?
Not the same scope of work.
It's not the same.
You took some stuff out.
There will be a value engineering process that is going to reduce the overall scope from the original.
So we're not doing the same amount of work for $5.6 million
No.
as you.
No,
took.
that,
Is that
yeah.
what you were asking, Jeff?
Okay.
Okay,
That's where it's
that's
hard
what,
to understand.
yeah, that's what
Correct.
I only asked that question because I think Jeff was a little confused. I understood it as we only have 5.6 million, we gotta build $5.6 million worth of stuff. We're gonna get.
That's the
best-
scope of work with the CMAR process
Yeah.
is you're going to get is what that GMP is.
That's, I wanted to verify.
Well, my hindsight is 20/20, regardless of what I see through my eyes. If we've been better off just starting this from the beginning, would we not?
Yeah, and I've had the opportunity to be in meetings with Morgan, his team, as well as with Rice Lake, and there was already a spreadsheet generated that's quantifying cost savings from a value engineering standpoint. It's coming about it and thinking outside the box, and so I've witnessed that I have confidence in the process, and the people that are at the table along with our staff. I mean, I feel very good about this, and yes, it's a dramatic decrease in terms of the overall cost, but it's how do we design the system and make it work within the money that we have available to us.
Yeah, and that's one of the values of the CMAR process. And before we look through the CMAR process, we did have extensive discussions with contractors and Rice Lake too, to see is there value in going CMAR versus just you redesign the project and you just take plan sheets out and just cut what you have and just X plan sheets out and rebidding it. Rice Lake was very confident that there was more value in going the CMAR process to give them a little more transparency and having a little, they're the construction manager at risk, so they are the at-risk party in this agreement. And so there is incentive for them to have a very solid and strong GMP to meet for the scope that to get the project done and meet the intent of the project.
And that's maximum price. What's the G?
Guaranteed maximum
Guaranteed.
price.
I like that. Guaranteed.
Yep, that is an official legal term in the contracting.
So we are approaching this project, as Morgan stated kind of at the beginning. Reclaim has always been our number one priority because of the amount of waste water we have going out into that seepage basin. Number two is backwash, right? And so if we can find some efficiencies in the backwash and incorporate them into the project and stay under that amount, then I think we're golden. But the main focus of this is reclaim, because we know that could likely be used at a new water treatment facility in the future.
Yes.
Likely can be or is gonna be?
More than likely will be. The intent is to design this so that it's utilized with a future treatment facility. In the general vicinity. It's obviously very hard if you buy land across a city and build a new water plant and change your well field to utilize this infrastructure. But there is useful life that will be incorporated into a future water plant design. That is at least my vision, Bolton Mink's vision, and we've shared that vision with staff. As we work and progress this project forward, we want all this to transition. Same thing with the 2 million gallon reservoirs that are currently there. We want that investment to be utilized with a new facility and not have to spend capital expenditure on the same thing you already have that's good.
You dodged my question, but I'll accept it.
Yes, the answer is yes.
At least he did it to your face.
Yeah, I appreciate that, yeah.
No, that's good. All right, any other questions, comments? All good questions, thank you. All right, we're looking for approval, a motion to move forward.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, don't go too far. So approve Bolton and Mink's proposal for design, construction, engineering services related to lead service line replacements in coordination with the city of Brainerd's 2026 reconstruction and resurfacing projects. That's a lot of words in that sentence. and
Like
I
to be
made it.
descriptive.
I made it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So attached in your agenda today is a proposal for professional design and construction engineering services from Bolton and Mink for our 2026 lead service line replacement project, solely related to the city's 2026 infrastructure projects. So the city is planning on a resurfacing project currently under contract with WSB, along with a 2026 reconstruction project in Southeast Brainerd, Southeast 19th, Southeast 18th. There's kind of a block of streets down there that the city has gotten through survey and some design development on for that project. We've been coordinating with city staff and Bolton and Mink regarding the need to align our projects between our lead service line replacements and the city's street and utility projects. As part of that coordination, we talked over Mr. Dean, Jesse Dean's plan to what services he is currently looking to keep in-house for 2026 and which projects he would anticipate going out for professional services from consulting firms. During those discussions, we had further correspondence with Jesse about his 2026 plan. And before these discussions, his plan was to basically keep in-house the city's 2026 reconstruction project in Southeast Brainerd. The resurfacing project was already under contract with WSB. And then the projects that are held over till next year, related to the Wright Street and South 10th Street project, he was looking at potentially letting out an RFP for construction services to get those projects over the finish line in 2026. When we discussed with Jesse the plan, we have our grant from the PFA for lead service line replacements of $2.6 million. And they were broken out into a couple of different projects. One was to address the galvanized service lines directly related to city infrastructure projects, and the other was whatever other lead service lines we can get to in a phase one replacement program up in Northeast Brainerd. We're trying to align and find the best way to administer construction contracts without having a lot of fingers in the pot per se. And so our outcome of our discussions with Jesse was we should pivot slightly in how Jesse was going to implement his 2026 reconstruction and resurfacing schedule and have city staff finish off the projects from 2025 that were held over into 2026. and then ask Bolton and Mink for a proposal for professional services to take on the 2026 reconstruction project, along with a separate proposal through BPU for the lead service line portion. We see a lot of value in having one construction manager on site for the reconstruction project and the lead service lines. There's a lot of coordination that happens with private residents for lead service line replacements, and having one consistent project team involved in both the reconstruction portion and the lead service line to us made a lot of sense. And so in front of you today, we've asked Bolton and Mink to provide a proposal for the lead service lines that are just related to the city's 2026 street program. And then at the next commission meeting, we'll be seeing another proposal for that phase one of lead service line replacements in Northeast Brainerd to get us up to our total grant amount of $2.625 million. The city council, Jesse requested a proposal from Bolton and Mink that the city council will be reviewing at their meeting in December for the 2026 street reconstruction project to ensure we're aligned across BPU and the city with this plan moving forward. Brian Drown is here in the crowd to answer other questions. Otherwise, I can certainly answer those too. Bolton and Mink's total proposal amount for the design and construction, or I think it was design and construction, correct? Is the not to exceed amount of $152,620. As part of the program through PFA, engineering and construction professional services fees are all reimbursable through the program, through the lead service line replacement program. And so we are not forecasting any impact to the utility or ratepayers as it comes to lead service line replacements. And I'll take any questions.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Jeff.
Does the funding, the 2.6 million, I think you said, does that expire at a certain date?
The funding is currently in the intended use plan, and so the intended use plan is the PFA's mechanism to get the funding out the door. So we'll go through a application process with the Public Facilities Authority for use of those funds in 2026. So they need to be expended. I don't know what the exact cutoff date is, Brian, maybe you know that, for use of 2026 funds, but we're going to continue seeing this revolving 2.5, 2.6 million every year. So it behooves us to spend the money the year that we get it. And that's why we're going to get as many lead services that we can get done for construction and the engineering amount. So we want to utilize that full 2.6 million and get as many done as we can.
So you're looking at engineering streets to, our projects are going to focus on streets that have these more, a higher percentage of these lead service lines to take care of at the same time. Is that a fair way?
Not necessarily. So Jesse's street program is obviously driven on, the streets and the underlying sewer and water main on each project. We are trying to address these with separate contracts with consultants to address the service lines so we don't end up paving a street and then having to come back 2 years later to cut a hole in the street to replace the service line. So we want to work collaboratively with Jesse and Mike over at the city to ensure that as soon as they know if they're going to be doing a street reconstruction project, we need to get in there with our consultant and hit the lead service lines. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to make much more sense if the city consults out their services, we consult out ours, and it's the same consultant because of coordination, efficiency, plan sets, ensuring that the contract documents mesh well together because we're going to have 2 different contractors working.
The projects we do for streets, whether it's, any other than just mill and overlay, we're going to be looking, it won't be driven by this lead service line replacement.
To some degree, they are, Jeff.
That's what
and we're continually prioritizing that 5-year capital plan to ensure we're addressing the most we can with the dollars we have allocated.
Okay.
Mr. Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess just some background is, so the last 2 years, we've worked with your staff to do the inventory, and so it identified like 1,046 galvanized services throughout the city. And what PFA is, they don't have an infinite amount of dollars, so what they've attached a value, or an estimated value of $25,000 per service. And so you take your 1,046 times $25,000 each is $26 million. They've said we don't have that enough money to hit it right now, so for Brainerd, we're gonna give, hopefully if the funding is there, $2.6 million over a 10-year period, so that you're trying to replace about 100 services a year. We want to tie this to the reconstruction projects, so we know, like Paul was saying, is that when that's happening, we take care of those, and then like you're saying, in a month, there's identified about 240 galvanized services up in that northeast area. Knock off, about 60 of those, and then just keep working through that neighborhood if there's not a plan to take care of all your galvanized services in planned reconstruction areas, and then working outside the right-of-way to just use all the money. It'd be, great if it comes in under 25,000, then I think we can be flexible enough to just keep trying to find homeowners that will be willing to work within to use that funding
So-
every year.
Do you see is there a percentage or a likelihood of just doing the service line replacement without having a street project going on? I mean, is
It would depend on the magnitude of your, some blocks have one.
Okay.
Some, like in your resurfacing, there's, a small,
It's like 12 or 11 or 12
Yeah.
on the whole project.
and so, I think you would want to use up your funding to address all your reconstruction projects first, and then if there's leftover, then you go attack a neighborhood, and
Okay.
just try to use it that way. And the other thing we looked at was, because this is through PFA, there's Buy America, Build America, material provisions, wage rates, and such, and so we want to separate that
We want to separate the
from the
contracts.
city project so that you're not federalizing just a neighborhood street reconstruction that could, increase the costs on hydrants and steel and wage rates and all that.
City Administrator Broyles?
No, I think I just wanted to just note, I think it's worth mentioning, I think this is a great example of collaboration and alignment between the Public Works Department and the Public Utilities Department. And it's very refreshing, and I'm just very pleased the way this is going. I think that, I think there's going to be times where the street projects might drive the service line projects or vice versa. But I think any time that we can overlay a street project, it makes sense. Let's talk about what service lines need to be replaced in that same area, and let's combine those projects. And then we moved some things around this year because we wanted the same consultant on both the surface work and the service line work. So I think that was another great move from the staff. So I just appreciate the collaboration and the alignment between the Public Works, Public Utilities, and I think the primary beneficiary is going to be the public. I think we're just going to put out a better product, and it's exciting. So thank you for the staff for working hard on this.
Thank you.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Paul, you mentioned WSB. So basically when you were talking, I heard you, say 3 different engineers are working on this. Is that still the case, or are we getting rid of one of them?
WSB is working on the city's 2026 resurfacing project. It's going to be a little bit clunky because we'll have, Bolton and Mink doing lead service line work, so there'll be some cross coordination there that has to happen because we have, like I said, I think 11 to 12 service lines. Most of them are outside of the curb. I think we might have maybe 1 or 2 that are in the street that we're going to have to cut a hole, get it replaced before they come through and resurface the street. So WSB is already under contract working on design of the city's 2026 resurfacing. That happened, I know, a couple months ago where they awarded that contract. And so we're bringing in Bolton and Mink now, and they'll have to kind of collaborate and make sure that the schedule allows time for the city's or BPU's contractor to come in, cut a hole in the street, replace the service line, they come through and finish the resurfacing and be done.
Is there any way we can get one more? Like, can WSN get in here and do something?
We might as well at this point, no.
I got 3. Is there any way we can get 4?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Jeff?
I just want to say I appreciate Paul Sandy using the word clunky.
Noted. All right.
It's a very technical term, Jeff.
Speaking my language, Paul. Thank you. All right, any other comments? Thank you for addressing that.
Don't hear that too often.
Looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve this.
Okay, motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. It was a good description, so thank you for that. All right, item D, approve Woodset proposal for design and bidding professional services related to the main lift station reconstruction project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So attached in your packet, you'll find a proposal from Widseth for professional services for the main lift station reconstruction project. We're currently on the project priority, the 2026 project priority list with a total score of 44 points, which puts us in a fundable range for this project. So MPCA reviews applications, puts applications on the PPL, scores them, and there's like a certain cutoff point from a number of points perspective to get you into a fundable range. Once they know what that fundable range is, they pass it on to the PFA to get the intended use plan published. It's another application that we have to go through to get on the intended use plan. Currently, that placement on the IUP qualifies BPU for low interest financing through the PFA for this project, with loan rates typically several percentage points below what the city would obtain through market-based debt issuance, which in turn results in some pretty significant long-term cost savings. So to remain on schedule for this intended use plan placement, we're looking to proceed into design development and including the preparation of plans and specifications so that we can submit those to the MPCA by June 2026. This timeline would allow for certification and placement on the IUP for 2027. So the hope is that we're all in place here through this process to get construction started in 2027 to reconstruct the main lift station. This is a budgeted project currently for 2027, I believe, or 2027 and 28, I believe, or 26, 26.
26 and 27, so
So
the
we-
500,000 is included in the 26 budget.
So we do have the professional services in the budget for 2026. Widseth has teamed with HR Green on the project to provide these services to BPU. Pursuant to the facility plan that's currently under review by the MPCA, Alternative 3 of the facility plan is what we have scoped out for Widseth and HR Green, which involves the demolition of the existing cold storage garage, construction of a new main lift station building, installation of submersible pumps and dual wet wells and associated piping and equipment, new gravity sewer and force main connections, and installation of an emergency generator and odor control system. Widseth has proposed a not to exceed fee of $494,000 for the design and bidding phase services. The current estimated project cost listed on the project priority list is $7 million. All of these numbers are in line with what was proposed in the facility plan that's currently under review. And this expense is budgeted for in the 2026 budget. So staff is recommending that we approve the proposal for design and bidding services for the main lift station reconstruction project and the fee not to exceed $494,000. I see Bill is in the crowd today, so once again, if we have specific questions related to the scope of work, the project itself, we can certainly answer those collectively as a team.
Thank you, Paul. Any questions for Bill or staff? Need a motion? Yeah.
So move. Second.
Okay, motion is second. Any discussion? I'll be abstaining from the vote. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, staff reports. City Administrator Broyles.
Thank you, Mr. President. My written report is attached. First, I just want to welcome Paul Sandy. Welcome back to the city. We're happy to have you. You're a great addition to the team, so I'm just looking forward to a fantastic relationship, and I think you're going to be a tremendous asset to the city. So thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks,
The
man.
only thing I wanted to maybe call out from my report, we are, as a group of staff, the senior leaders on staff to include Paul, Trent, Danny, and Charlie, we have been talking about potential charter revisions. Those conversations are ongoing. We are anticipating that the Charter Commission has tasked staff to come back with a draft before the end of the year. We're anticipating having that on December 17th. Has not yet been scheduled, but that's what we're anticipating. We'll meet, and I fully expect that we'll meet that goal. But we've had some very good, robust conversations amongst staff, and I think we're making some good progress. So more to follow on that, but as the BPU Commission, your leadership team have been instrumental and very valuable in those conversations. So thanks to your staff for participating. So other than that, I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions for City Administrator? Okay, thank you. Council Liaison Report. Councilman Chesa.
Thank you. I just want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody has friendly relations with their family and friends, and appreciate everybody's involvement in the work you do, staff and commission members alike. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Same goes for you.
Thank you.
If you wanna cut down on Christmas presents you have to buy, just bring up politics.
End with religion?
Huh?
Start with
Well,
politics,
either
end
one,
with
yeah.
religion.
Combination.
Well, no Christmas present for you, for me, then, Mark.
All right, Public Utilities Director Report.
HR.
HR Director Report, sorry.
No
Sorry
worries.
about that, Chris.
I have provided my written report. If there's no questions, just happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Any questions for Chris? Okay, same goes for you too. Okay, Public Utilities Director Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just highlight a couple of things. Obviously, I've been in this position now getting close to a month. This is my 4th week. It's been pretty fast-paced, highly productive, had a lot of meetings with these 3 yahoos down here on the end. Been great. They've gotten me as much information that I can absorb in a short amount of time, so I've really appreciated their engagement with me, attending managers' meetings on every Wednesday, and those interactions have just provided me a good understanding of current operations and how we continue to kind of look forward into the future with some pretty large capital investments coming down the pipe. Danny and I attended the Minnesota Rural Water Financing Your Community Projects training. A lot of this stuff was, kind of a refresher for me, but I think it's always good. We had representatives from the MPCA, the Department of Health, the Lead Service Line Program, the PFA. There was just a lot of good information on how we can put together competitive funding packages to help us push forward in implementation of our large capital improvements we have coming in future years. I have some of the priorities that I've identified here in my first few weeks, and I guess I can answer any questions about those. But it really is stemming towards continued discussions and ensuring that the city's capital improvement plan and what we have going on from a lead service line perspective are well aligned. Investigating the potential for pool engineering services with the city. Developing a standard set of city standard details and specifications, working towards a more integrated platform for plan reviews, development project reviews as they come through the city and get passed on to us, and kind of digging into a little bit with our GIS staff, both at the utility and at the city, and how we can help kind of bring those together into one platform so we have consistent and reliable data across both organizations. and some other just general topics. Had some discussion about fats, oils, and grease program. You know, being at the city in the past, I've seen that it's a tough nut to crack. I think there's some things that we can do both on the city side and utility side to help get that program kind of in line with some more communications to our food service establishments and working collectively as a team to kind of implement a new program to help us get control over that the fog issue that we've long had. Those are just some general highlights. Answer any questions about my report that's in the packet.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe I've ever seen the acronym FOG, fats, oils, and grease. I appreciate you bringing that up. Because it's been, Mike, probably all of us probably talks about that more than anyone, and he's absolutely correct. But the other item you had in there was that software, it's called what's it, Blue something?
Bluebeam, yep.
Bluebeam, yeah. Is there a price to that software? Do you have any idea?
It's like $300 a year per user.
Okay.
So it's a pretty minimal expense.
It's a great software.
It's a really great, and all the consultants use it. It allows for creation of what's called a session, where you can put plan submittals, specifications, and everyone can redline and, you know, comment on the same document. So whether that's a consultant, BPU staff, city staff, it just really is a file management system that everyone has access to, that can go in and redline plans from developers, from city staff when they have reconstruction projects, and just allows all the documents to live in one spot instead of redlining a document, sending it back over email. Then maybe the red lines don't get addressed on the next draft because someone forgot to forward it. So
Do you see this as a procurement then for council, public utilities shared expense then and shared across the?
yeah, so there are going to be potential city users that are involved in that, and I think that would, maybe Nick, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I think, you know, when Paul, I first saw an email a couple weeks back and he mentioned Bluebeam, and it warmed my heart because we used Bluebeam in a previous job. It's a fantastic tool. So yes, Mr. Chesak, I fully anticipate having conversations with Paul, and I think this would be a great asset for the city as a whole, for especially engineering, public works, public utilities. I think it's a great tool. So I think we'll try to come up with a strategy to get this on board, and we'll figure out some type of a cost share, whatever that looks like. But I think it's worthwhile.
Like Blueberry, Bluetooth, Bluebeam, there's so many blues.
Clunky Chunky, he's speaking my language.
Jeff, I haven't researched whatever it is, Bluebeam, but we use very similar software in our wedding industry. And what you will enjoy about it is the transparency that it brings, because anybody can look at it anytime. We have, in the wedding business, realized that sometimes a bride or a bride's mom or the groom's mom all say different things. With our software, it tracks everything. So if there's ever an issue later on, you go back to that document. I'm assuming this is the same thing, Mike. Everything is just tracked and it's always there. So I think that's a great idea.
You know, by
What's that
describing,
called? Blue hair?
by describing all of the moms and brides and that, you just described this commission.
And all the engineers and the staff and, yeah, exactly.
Well, anything else to add, Paul?
Thank you, Paul, very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I echo that. Thanks for this report. It's awesome. I was feeling good about myself because I had one goal for 26. You have 6. So no,
The list keeps getting longer.
I think
too.
it's. I commend you. I think it's a great list and certainly things we need to tackle. So that's great. All right, Danny, Finance Manager report.
Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to my report, some good news for the electric utility, the electric side. So we did have a bonding call subsequent to the report, and we have received an increase in our bonding rating for the electric revenue bonds, which that's, as finance, that's always good news. So that went really well. I need to thank Connie and our bonding crew for helping get that done. A2. The city itself is at A1, we are at A2. There's some things that we'll be looking at in our policies to help us get to an A1 rating as well as the city, but want to thank everybody for their help and assistance in getting us there. Additionally, to highlight in my report, there's a discussion on the transitioning from physical door hangers for the cold weather rule to an electronic version. That has been in process with Tyler, and industry standard is going that way. So we're looking at implementing that and increasing our cost savings for those notices. That's just going to, anybody then receiving a delinquent notice is also getting noticed that their final notice will come in this electronic format as part of the process. So just so you're aware of that.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes, sir.
If people are not connected with the public utilities through that electronic system that we're using, would they get the actual door hanger then?
They would. It does require that everybody get information to us for an electronic
Okay,
notice.
thank you.
Additionally, I'll just, another item not on my report, and Trent can help me with this one. As we look to our renewable energy requirements, we have been approached for potential solar developments, and people are looking for some confidentiality agreement signatures for that, as that was highlighted in our unfinished business. But staff is moving forward in looking at what would be required for our renewable energy standard for 2040. End of my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Any questions for Danny? Great job, thank you. All right, Trent, you're up.
Thank you. I just want to echo the sentiment of Jeff Innes's retirement and how being able to hold on to staff for 30 years is just something to be proud of, as this board should be proud of, that we were able to retain such a caliber employee for 30 years. And we have many more that are coming down the pike to also be employed with us for 30 years. So that's very encouraging for us as we look at to manage staff going forward. I'd also like to echo happy Thanksgiving to everybody in this room and to welcome Paul Sandy. He's been a breath of fresh air to this team here at the bench today to help us get moving forward with some of these projects that we've been muddling our way through. Other than that, if there's no questions, that'll be end of my written report.
Thanks, Trent. Any questions for Trent? Trent, the renewable comparison, the sheet that you provide, is the rotary going to be part of that, or I mean, does that
Certainly
count?
add it, but it's not going to wiggle the gauge.
Yeah.
But we can add it. I mean, we can add it to it, but it will not be a
Yeah.
significant impact to that at all.
But it is on paper at least part of our renewable initiative, right, and our efforts?
Correct, as long as the load at the pavilion does not exceed the capacity.
Quit plugging in your cell phones.
Hey, I'm trying to get
Good question.
squeeze as much out of this as I can. It doesn't get us up to that 100% that we need to be by 2040. No, it's good though. No, it's great to see that. So, okay. All right. Well, save the best for last. Charlie, would you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Well, then it's your turn.
So my report is in there. I want to appreciate and thank the addition of Paul Sandy to the utility. Just with his presence, I feel that we're more of a solid team looking at all different factions and all of our job requirements. And also, I want to wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving. Drive and travel safely, those who can have them. But our staff at BPU and throughout the city, I just want to say thank you. I watch it every day. I try to do it more efficient ways, and with the current staff and the knowledge that they have and bring is fantastic. Just want to say thank you.
I got a quick question, if I could.
Yeah, you bet.
You replaced a lot of pumps, Charlie. I can't remember exactly where and what they're called and all that, but you said you're keeping the old ones as backups, and that sounds good to me, but were there backups before we now have these backups?
No, there were not.
Okay.
They were a one and done. Trying to engineer or replace like for like, whether it be a electric VFD, let's say, that drives these pumps, or same model pumps, to then try to have maybe one instead of 4 different models on hand to be ready to go in case of emergency. So a lot of pump replacements, things are getting older, they run 24. So yes, but we keep the best of the worst on hand until we can get replacements.
Well, again, I want to thank you for your report. It's much easier understood now, the additions and things that you've included. I appreciate that.
Anything else, Charlie? Any questions for Charlie?
How are we on, hauling all of our stuff?
We wrapped it up. We did finish out in November here. So we cleaned up the trucks and put them in storage and cleaned up the tractor and converting it over to a snow blower now. So we're in that phase. So we're down. We're as far down as we can get, and fingers are crossed for early spring or a nice spring and get back out and do it again.
I know how stressful that is, and I appreciate all the time and heart you put into that process. I've been there and done that. Most people don't realize with the MPCA breathing down your neck what that can be like. So the reason I ask is, good job, thank you, we appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. All right, commission member reports. Mike, we'll start with you.
Happy Thanksgiving, that's all I got.
Okay, Mark?
I'm good.
Mark is good. All right, I'll go next. Yes, Danny.
Before you adjourn, you might want to consider adjourning to a meeting 1 PM today. Senator and Representative Heinzman are coming to the hydro facility.
Got it.
And then there was discussion for the joint wastewater management board meeting is December 11th at 5:30.
Already?
That's with Baxter?
Where is that at?
That's at the BPU.
December 11th, 5:30. Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, I'll go. So my report, I had the pleasure of participating in the Career and Technical Education Steering Committee at the Brainerd High School. And our staff have done a phenomenal job volunteering their time and presenting to environmental studies classes. So Trent and Charlie, you've been there to do that. City Administrator Broyles, I believe you were there as well. So I don't want to ever volunteer people without asking. So here I am asking, right? If you could create more free time, which you don't have, I would like to propose that. So I'm officially asking at a public meeting. What do you think about that? Are you good with participating, get in front of some students and just making them aware of career opportunities?
Absolutely, happy to do so.
Okay, awesome. So I'll loop you guys in on that, and we'll try to make that happen here this spring. So, and also I think I'll just echo what everybody's saying. I guess is Paul, it's great to have you, and mostly been sitting next to you at city council meetings in the crowd. So it's great to be sitting next to you up here. But I'm really excited about that, and so thanks.
Yep, thank you.
You bet. All right, so we will adjourn to the meeting today at 1 PM at the hydro facility, if people are coming, and then also December 11th at 5:30 at BPU for the Joint Wastewater Management Board. So do we have a motion to adjourn? Okay, second, any discussion? Nope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, motion passes. Thanks, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
I wanna have a meeting. What's that? Before that.